Like ice. You won a round. That's your only round so far.
Practically said I had something to do with the...
No, I said it.
Let's play something else.
Thanks for watching my review and analysis of director Norman Jewison's 1968 heist film, The Thomas Crown Affair, directed and produced by Norman Jewison, starring Steve McQueen and Faye Dunaway. Thomas Crown is a thrill seeker and a man who loves taking risks. At the start of the film, he hides behind a bright light in a hotel suite, giving instructions to one of the 5 men he hires to rob a bank. His anonymity behind this bright light hides not just his face, but also his feelings. While the faces and feelings of the men in front of the bright light are in plain view, he knows them, but they don't know him. As those who get their instructions from Thomas over the phone don't know him either. These robbers' faces are exposed and you can clearly see their emotions, while Thomas Crown himself is just a voice. During the bank robbery, all of the robbers are wearing shades to hide their faces and emotions. After the robbery, however, shows all of the robbers with their shades off, exposing their faces and emotions. Later in the film, Vicki, played by Faye Dunaway, and Eddy, played by Burke, call Thomas down to the police station and place him in a room with his getaway driver to see if they know each other. Vicki and Eddy are on the other side of a mirror on the wall facing Thomas, who is sitting very calmly and still. Meanwhile, his getaway driver is smoking, fidgeting, and sweating nervously. Anything but calm and still. The point of this scene is not that Thomas has no emotions, just that he is better at hiding his emotions than the 5 men he hired to rob the bank. Because you'll notice how his demeanor changes when he is out of the public view and in his office after the robbery. He's laughing like a wild man, drinking and acting a fool. We also see Vicki using sunglasses to conceal her emotions in the same way that Thomas uses the bright light to conceal his face at the beginning of the film. In the scene in which she meets Eddy Malone at the airport, she is ice cold and no nonsense, no small talk or smiling. But the moment that Eddy turns his back to her to walk away, her ice cold and no nonsense front vanishes as she smiles and looks at him. In contrast to Thomas, Vicki, and even the robbers, who at least have enough sense to hide their faces and feelings behind sunglasses while robbing the bank, Detective Eddy Malone makes no attempt to hide his feelings by greeting Vicki with a big smile when he meets her for the first time at the airport, and then getting an attitude when she completely ignores him. In another scene, Detective Malone and Vicki are going through a stack of pictures looking for suspects, and when Malone sees Thomas Crown's picture, he puts it at the bottom of the stack to keep Vicki from seeing it. When Thomas and Eddy see each other face to face at the police lineup, Thomas looks calm and confident before Eddy, whose face is tense with jealousy. The central character in the Thomas Crown Affair is Vicki, who starts out as someone who knows how to set clear boundaries between her emotions and business. To her, figuring people out is a game, and she loses interest very quickly in men who are easy to figure out, like Detective Eddy Malone. And for this reason, Thomas Crown intrigues her because he is a challenge. She is attracted to him. However, the name of the game is winning, and in order to get the 10% finder's fee for the $2,660,527.62 that he stole from that bank, Vicki knows that she has to stay focused on her business and get Thomas Crown to forget about his business. So, when he invites her to his place for dinner, she sees a chessboard and challenges him to a friendly game in a scene that sums up the entire film in a nutshell. Vicki turns up the heat, figuratively and literally, to take Thomas out of his game. She goes on the attack, employing subtle but powerfully effective maneuvers, opening her legs very wide, caressing her shoulder, licking her fingertip, and gliding her fingers up and down the long shaft of a chess piece. Thomas stands up after the game in order to hide the effect of her attack. or his giveaway before taking her into his arms and making love to her. And for a moment, it seems like she has actually won the chess match by getting Thomas to show quote unquote his hand. However, this does not turn out to be the case at all, for it is she who loses the chess match by showing her hand. For out on this balcony, having breakfast after making love, she looks completely spaced out, while Thomas is sitting across from her with his legs crossed, reading the Wall Street Journal, completely stoic. This scene sets the tone for what happens next in the film, for up to this point, the only professional who expresses his emotions is Eddy Malone. As he does when he smiles upon seeing Vicki for the first time at the airport, and as he does by flaunting jealousy like a cheap suit over Vicki's obsession with and admiration for Thomas Crown. And when she spends the night with Thomas, Eddy really loses it. She rationalizes her methods, however, explaining to Eddy that the time she spends with Thomas and what they do when they're together is just business. But this is not the way that Eddy sees it. As far as he is concerned, it isn't just business. Sharing her body with Thomas for the bank's 10% finder's fee has, for all practical purposes, turned her into a prostitute. Eddy catches Thomas on camera kissing another woman in a restaurant, and Eddy takes a great deal of pleasure in showing these pictures to Vicki and seeing the raw jealousy on her face. But this look on her beautiful face makes Eddy even more jealous and resentful, as you can only be jealous of someone you have emotional equity in. So, when Thomas takes her to see his unfinished beach house and she asks him if he's seeing another woman, he tells her the truth, that that woman was just a way to put her back in touch with her feelings. Feelings she'd shut off like a tap in her obsession to become a top insurance investigator. She can be a professional and do her job, but she can also be a woman with feelings too. The film's opening scene of images quilted together was conceived by self-taught graphic designer Pablo Ferro, who also did work on A Clockwork Orange, Bullet, and Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. He, along with cinematographer Michael Chapman, co-designed the collages of the polo scene and the bank robbery scene. I believe that the use of multiple moving panels or thematic motifs of the chess match between Vicki and Thomas. It's like getting a certain car and then everywhere you go seeing the same car. Same with the chessboard. You see the chessboard in the infinity effect created by the square border of a series of phone booth windows framing one of the bank robbers. The atmosphere of the film is established in the opening credits by the lyrical pictures of Michel Legrand's Windmills of Your Mind, which won the Academy Award for Best Song. This is one of my all-time favorite Steve McQueen movies, second only to his 1971 film Le Mans. If you haven't seen The Thomas Crown Affair or Le Mans, you should definitely check them out. Once again, thanks for watching my review of director Norman Jewison's 1968 heist film, The Thomas Crown Affair, and be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the Godfather of Cinema, and hit the bell for more reviews like this one. I will see you soon.